Hi, I'm Deshonda Brown. I am a culture and entertainment host, expert, and editor, and I am a woman of today, positioning myself for tomorrow.
All right, y'all. I'm excited because me and Deshonda have already had our little mini podcast conversations when we weren't filming, and I feel like we already got into so much. So we can start with the fact that Deshonda is my Spelman sister, and despite what y'all might think that I feel about Spelman, because we have a crazy clip of me.
I saw. I be on the internet. I saw.
People now believe that I just hate Spelman, and I'm like, y'all, I had an experience.
And everybody's experience is different.
Yeah, but nonetheless, Spelman was still good to me. I enjoyed it. I have Spelman sisters who I love, and then there were just other people that just weren't my people, and that's okay.
Yeah, 100%. I can say the same thing. I feel like everybody's lived experience is different, and just because Spelman, obviously we're the mecca of Black girl excellence. I mean that's just Spelman, but everybody's lived experience is different. Some people may have had a fantastic experience, some people may have had a sucky experience, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you're still a Spelman woman and you still love Spelman.
Right, and I paid my tuition, so trust me. Spelman, thy name, we praise.
I will literally forever be indebted to Spelman.
Okay,
literally forever.
Oh man, but yeah, I love that we have that in common, and then we have tons more in common that I just realized. So me and Deshonda literally have the same tattoos. We both have semicolons tattooed on us. So what made you want to get yours tattooed?
I had been wanting a tattoo for a really long time, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to get. I kept telling myself every year, Deshonda, you're gonna get tattooed. Deshonda, you're gonna get a tattoo. But for my 24th birthday, for some reason, my 23rd year of life was one of my hardest years ever. I was really struggling with my mental health. I was having a lot of suicidal ideations. I was really having really big imposter syndrome, as far as my job and my relationship. I had no idea who or what I was or what my purpose was. And for my birthday that year, me, my best friend, and my cousin went to Los Angeles because I always like to travel somewhere for my birthday. And I told myself, Deshonda, you're going to get a tattoo. Just book yourself an appointment, and we're all just going to go. I had no idea what I was going to get. But at the time, I had known that mental health was really important to me. And I was going around different places, Instagram Lives, conferences, panels, talking about mental health. So I knew I wanted something to do with that. And I was scrolling on the internet looking for mental health tattoos, and I saw that Selena Gomez had a semicolon tattoo. And it was because the semicolon, as you know, represents a pause in a sentence and not that the sentence is done.
Yeah.
And I was coming to terms with the fact that I'm just coming off of this really, really bad low where I didn't want to be alive anymore, but I'm not meant to cut my own life short. I could stop and take a pause and take a breath without my life being over. Yeah. So that's what made me want to get this, and also the continue tattoo that I showed you where the I is the semicolon as well.
Yeah, I got mine with one of my good friends, Kelsey. And she's the same as me and similar to you. We've all struggled with depression and our mental health. I've attempted suicide twice.
Same.
And what the semicolon meant to me is when a sentence could have ended, but it didn't. So for me, when my life could have ended, but it didn't. Because the first time that I had a suicidal attempt, I don't think I realized what I was doing. I mean, both times I don't think that's what I was trying to do, but first time I absolutely didn't realize what I was doing. Second time, it wasn't so much of I'm trying to end it all. It was just more so I need some peace. I need some quiet right now. And that's what it led me to. But a friend of mine actually stopped me, and that was embarrassing. But yes, I went with another friend of mine and I got it. And since then, it's always been something where if people catch it, it's always a conversation. It's a tough spot for them. It's not so much uncomfortable for me anymore because it's something that I can congratulate myself for and say, we got through that. We're okay, but it's always interesting to see how people respond to that.
It's actually interesting because, similar to you, my cousin actually stopped me. She walked into the room when I was about to do it. Yeah. And if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be here. And similar to you, it's not, I wasn't thinking I want to die, I want to kill myself. That wasn't my thought process. I was just like, yo, I just need this to stop.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, it was kind of like a by any means necessary type of desperation. Like, I just want to quiet the noise. I just want any problem that I'm having right now to just stop. I don't care if it's temporary or permanent. Like, I just need things to just come to a complete and utter halt.
Yeah.
And looking back at it, like, I'm grateful that things happened the way that they did. Like, I'm grateful that my cousin was in the house. I'm grateful that she caught me. I'm grateful that she got my dad on the phone. I'm grateful that my dad was like, we're going to get you into therapy. Like, if that didn't happen, I don't know where my mental health would be today.
How is it when you see like other situations of people who have maybe unfortunately lost their battle with depression and mental health? Like, I remember Chesley Christ, when she passed from suicide, my Spelman sister, Kayla Jackson, she called me. And it's funny because like me and Kayla, we're so close. We have been since Spelman, and we don't talk every day or all the time. We don't even have a routine of when we check in with each other. And when she called me, I hadn't talked to her for months, but I remember she made it a point to just pick up the phone, and she was like, how are you feeling? She was like, I need you to get off social media for the next couple of days and just breathe. Like, it's going to be a lot of things that come out. Some of it is going to be triggering. She was just like, I need you to really take care of you right now. Because seeing stuff like that it doesn't put me back in that place, but it definitely is just like eye-opening, like, wow, this could have been me. Like, in the way that people are responding, I could have had people thinking like that in terms of me. So it is sometimes very triggering. But do you ever experience that?
It is. It is very triggering sometimes, but that's kind of why I move the way that I move now. Like, when I ask people, how's your mental health doing? Like, how are you? Do you need to take a break? Similar to when we were talking earlier, because I know that I didn't have that support when I was younger, because, you know, not to blame anybody around me, but until a couple years ago, a lot of the people in my close camp, we didn't have that language to talk about mental health. We couldn't talk about depression or anxiety or suicidal ideations without somebody telling me, go drink some ginger ale, go drink some tea, go take a nap, or go pray it away.
Yep.
And I didn't see any of those as options. So now what I do is, even if I see like a really cryptic text message like, hey, I can't do this anymore, I'm very quick to pick up the phone and be like, yo, what do you need? Like, even if it's me sitting on the phone and just listening to them, whether it's me giving them resources, maybe they just need to go off the grid for a couple of days and maybe we just don't need to speak. I like to make sure that I put the person's needs first, because I know what it's like to feel like people aren't putting mine first. And I never want somebody to ever feel like somebody isn't there, because I know what it's like to feel isolated, like you're surrounded by all these people and yet no one's listening to you, let alone hearing you. So I always try to make it a point to make sure that whoever's in my camp feels heard. I don't want to ever see somebody that I love, you know, have in loving memory of type of situation, because that selfishly, because we're human beings, I'm going to think to myself like, damn, what could I have done? Yeah. How could I have changed the course of my life or shifted things around so that I could be there for that person to make them to stay? And maybe that's me being selfish. It probably is, but I always like to make sure that the people who are around me, whether they're friends, family, acquaintances, colleagues, mentees, mentors, feel like they have some type of safe space within me.
Yeah. How do you like for people to show up for you? Because I think before I really understood that I was struggling with my mental health, and before I got into like this whole mental health advocacy space, now I feel like I'm better with saying, okay, today's a bad day. Can we talk? Can we go somewhere, walk it out, whatever? But before, I didn't know how to ask for help. I've always been too proud, I guess. And then I didn't want for people to look at me like I was broken, because that would make me feel even worse about it. Like, when people try to handicap you just because you're experiencing real life, it makes me not want to reach out and ask you for the help that I know I desperately need. So how do you go about asking for help and creating that space for yourself?
It's funny because I still suck at it. Like, and I'm actually kind of glad that I can recognize the fact that I'm bad at it, because it means that there's room for growth. Like, I'm a very proud person, and it's one of my worst character traits. Like, I'm somebody that does not like to ask for help ever. But I'm also somebody that you know the TikTok where it's like, be fucking for real. Like, I need to tell myself that, like, Deshaunda, be for real. Like, what do you need right now? And I forgot what. There was like some interview with somebody that went viral in a newspaper, but it was like some celebrity that was like, I don't want to be unhappy for even 1 second of my life. So I try to adopt that to my own life right now. Like if I'm in a really bad funk, okay, Deshonda, what is that one micro thing that's going to make you even a little bit happier? So maybe sometimes that's getting on the phone with my dad. Maybe that's sometimes watching a horrible Lifetime movie. Maybe that's sometimes going out to eat by myself. Maybe that's going to, watch Family Guy with my boyfriend. Maybe it's just sitting alone and just doing nothing and talking to God. Like I try to figure out what that means for me, because a lot of people think that when it comes to love languages, that means that you communicate that with other people, or people communicate that back to you. Love languages can also be internalized. So what love languages can I adopt to myself? When it comes to physical touch, do I need to get myself a massage? When it comes to acts of service, do I need to deep clean my house so that my safe space is actually a safe space? When it comes to words of affirmation, do I need to journal? Do I need to write stuff down? Do I need to put sticky notes on my wall? So I try to figure out what exactly I need in that moment, because what I may need on a Tuesday at 3 p.m. may be really different from what I need on like a Saturday at 11 a.m.
I've never thought of that. But you know what? I've always been one of those people where it's not that I don't believe in love languages. I just don't believe that there's only four.
Right.
And I don't believe that I can just have one that works for me. Like when it comes to my relationships, I want you to show up in all those ways. I don't just want the gift giving and the acts of service or whatever. So I think when it comes to myself, I've never taken account to see how do I need to communicate with me? How do I need to take care of Jasmine? So you just gave me some homework.
Yeah, for sure. Like adopt those in the ways that you would want other people to show up for you. Like I know that, for example, I love giving gifts. That's my number one love language to other people, because I know that sometimes I can't physically be there all the time because I travel so much, or sometimes I can't pick up the phone because I'm working. But if I can show you that I'm thinking about you through a gift, I will do that. But some people don't like gifts. Some people like a hug. Some people like, a nice text message in the morning. And I have to make sure that the way that I can show up for them is also by listening to what they need and not just what I think they need. Because oftentimes we show up for people in the way that we think is best for them, but you have to ask them to, and you have to ask yourself what you need.
That's fair. So when it comes to your mental health as a woman and a Black journalist, I feel like I don't even know how to position the question, because it's probably such a loaded experience. But how has that been for you?
It's been difficult. I can say that, especially because I'm really young. Like, I think honestly, sometimes I forget that I'm still in my 20s.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I've lived like a million different lives in this industry, and I'm not even 30. And I think the most difficult part about it, and I was just talking to a couple friends about it the other day, is that there's like different tiers, right? There's the major white publications, right? And that's the Vogues, the L's, the Harper's Bazaars, the WWDs, all that stuff. And then you have Black journalists who work at these white publications. And then, unfortunately, below that, you have Black journalists who work at Black publications. And you realize when you work in this industry, sometimes there's a hierarchy. Like, I had a friend tell me a story that she was invited to an event and she didn't get treated so well because the name of Essence didn't mean that much to the people who were working that event. But to us, when we see Essence, that's Ebony, Jet, exactly, sophisticated Black hair, even throwing it back to like Honey and Latina magazines, like these are like the meccas for us. So that's royalty to us, but it's annoying sometimes when I'm a Black journalist who's working at these amazing Black publications who have given me and my stories a home, from Revolt to Hello Beautiful to XO Nicole. Like, these are Black places that have made me as a Black woman feel safe. And it feels very discouraging sometimes that I don't get the same respect as my Black peers at white publications, or my white peers at white publications, when we do all amazing work. But sometimes I feel like I have to bust my ass harder to prove myself in these rooms, just because my publication or one of the publications that I work for isn't on somebody's coffee table every morning.
Do you ever feel like you've been tasked with something that is not necessarily a part of your general purpose?
That's a good question. I will say probably, and this may seem very metaphysical or very spiritual, But I feel like sometimes I'm tasked with proving myself when I don't have to. Like, I feel like I do not allow myself to just feel that I deserve and that I have earned my spaces in these rooms. Like, I feel like as a Black woman in any space, we have to prove ourselves way harder. As a publicist, I'm sure you feel that way, going against people that are like fighting for the same spots in these publications. But because this white PR agency has, like, you know, Jimmy Fallon and whatever the hell and Forbes under their belt, you feel like you have to like prove yourself like 30 times harder. But that doesn't mean that you don't work as hard. That just means that people gravitate towards these bigger white cisgender heteronormative names that are more familiar to the masses. And I feel like I've been tasked to prove myself as a Black woman in this industry when I work just as, if not way more harder than these people, because I have to make sure that my work speaks louder for anything that I'll ever do. Because if I stick my hand in any room before you hear my voice, you know I'm a Black woman.
Yeah.
So I got to make sure that whatever I'm doing, you don't let this fool you. Like, I'm not just a Black woman. I'm an intelligent Black woman. I'm an educated Black woman. I'm an articulate Black woman. And it's not like I'm smart for a Black woman. It's not like I'm articulate for a Black woman. I am an articulate Black woman. That's the full sentence. And I want to make sure that I don't feel like I have to prove myself at all times, because I'm still struggling with that.
Yeah. This industry definitely can force you to struggle with imposter syndrome in ways that you never thought you would.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've struggled with figuring out who I am just as a person, as Jasmine in this industry, as well as who I am as Jasmine, the publicist in this industry.
Yeah.
Even though you would think that those are synonymous, but they're really not. And it's crazy because this is a struggle that you would think everybody deals with and they get over around like their mid-20s. But like, I'm getting ready to be 30 next year, and I feel like every other day it's still a struggle for me. There are some days when I'm like, damn, like I'm really killing this. And then the next day I'm like, I suck at everything.
Yeah.
But how do you go about, I guess, checking yourself a little bit, or creating the space even outside of work for you to remember just who the fuck you are?
Honestly, it's really timely that we're having this conversation, because I was just on the phone with one of my closest friends the other day, and I was just like bawling my eyes out crying, and I was just like, I feel like a fraud. Like, I feel fraudulent. And he asked me why, and I said, because I feel like don't get me wrong, like I have moments where I'm just like, yo, I'm that girl, like I'm killing it, but it's like, why me? Like, there are so many people that I know that are just as talented, if not more talented than me, but why am I chosen to be in this space? Like, I know that I can grow, I know that I can learn more, but what makes me so deserving of being in this space? And it's really a team effort. Like, I can honestly say that I don't hype myself up. I try to, but I'm blessed enough to have amazing people in my corner to pick me up when I feel down and to remind me, like, yo, Deshonda, like, you really are doing amazing. And the fact that this is the best you can do, and this is better than anybody's best right now, that's amazing. And I feel like imposter syndrome for me is something that's really scary, because I can have really high highs and I can reach my peaks, but those same peaks can also be valleys. Like, as high as I feel is sometimes as low as I feel. I can be like, oh my God, like I got this really amazing interview, but then I'm just like, damn, now I feel the pressure to perform. And I was talking to my friend about it today too. I'm not afraid of failure, because failure is inevitable, because none of us are perfect. I'm really afraid of success, because I feel like if I succeed, I'm continued to be expected to succeed. And if I disappoint anybody, then that lands on me.
I feel like I have said this so many years, like, and I don't know if I've ever said it out loud or if I've admitted it to other people, but you worded it up. I think in a lot of ways I'm afraid of success, because once I hit this cap, I have to keep performing at that level. And that is so mentally exhausting, to think that once people see me doing this great, like I'm expected.
You can't fall off.
That is ridiculous. Like, you can't have a bad day at all. So I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like, there's so many things that I want to accomplish even outside of PR, and just struggling to keep up with my own mental sanity is enough to keep me at work all the time. But I'm not ready for people putting titles on me like, yo, she's so dope at this and she's the best at it. And it's like, I can appreciate that. And I love people celebrating me because it's motivating, but I don't want to have to keep up with that shit.
I agree. It's weird because that stuff even affects my personal life. Like in the beginning of my relationship with my boyfriend, who I've been with for almost 5 years at this point, like I would get really, really anxious whenever he would be like, baby, I'm so proud of you. You're doing amazing. Like I would like literally clench up in every area of my body and I'll be like, please don't tell me that.
Yeah.
And he would be like, why? I'm just singing your praises. I'm just telling you you're amazing. I'm just like, it's not a you thing. Like I love the fact that you're my number one supporter. I just really hate when people tell me a lot that they're proud of me because I now feel like I have to continue to make you proud. And it's not a you thing. It's a me thing. And I still struggle with that today.
I think that I have felt for a little bit of time that maybe people only like me or celebrate me because of what they think of me. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, damn, now I have to keep performing like this just so you like me as a person, even though these are two different things. Mm-hmm. But I've genuinely struggled with that. Like, will you still like me if I'm not doing this, if I don't know this person? And I have to get out of that. But the reality is there are also some people where they might really feel that way. Like, I'm only going to like you if you continue to be in these spaces and operate at this level and can prove yourself to be a resource to me.
Absolutely. And that's one of the scariest parts about being in our industry is that, like, sometimes, like, if these people weren't with you in the trenches, you really can't decipher, like, who's really with you, like, because they're with you or who's rocking with you because of what you bring to the table. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm very blessed to be able to have, like, a solid core group of friends who knew me before, like, I quote unquote blew up. So I'm not as focused on making friends in the industry per se, but it is scary because it's like sometimes I am on the defense. Like, I don't know if this person likes me because I'm a dope person or if this person likes me because they read my recent interview and now they want to get in touch with that person's publicist or manager. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's a little bit scary for me. And if I'm being completely honest, like I've had thoughts like recently about taking a hiatus from the industry. Like it's draining. And I feel like sometimes I tend to equate my worth and my mental wellness with my accolades and my job. And I don't want to be in a space where I'm doing that because Deshonda's worth isn't equated to how many interviews she can secure, how many famous people she talks to. But in this industry, it's so easy to get sucked in. Even if you say that you're the type of person that doesn't, everybody gets sucked in at some point. At some point. And I don't want to be sucked into that vortex. So if I can just step away for like, I think I kind of want to take like a couple months of hiatus, like at some point, just to bring myself back to center, because I don't want to ever be in a place where and it was like this when I was at Essence. A lot of people knew me as Deshonda from Essence, and I hated that so much. Don't get me wrong. Essence gave me so much for 2 years, but I felt like I was really losing myself because everybody knew me as Deshonda from Essence. Everybody knew me as Deshonda, the editor from Essence, Deshonda, the writer from Essence. But I felt like I lost my sense of identity to a point where it's like when people introduce me, they're like, oh, this is Deshonda. She's an amazing editor from Essence. And I'll be like, damn, I hate that. Like, I felt like I wasn't back to Deshonda. And right now I feel like I'm in a good place, but I want to keep that good place. And that's why I don't ever, and I don't know if you've noticed, I don't introduce myself as an editor at this person or a host for this person. I just say, I'm a culture and entertainment expert, editor, and host, and that's it. Whatever you want to lump me with from there is completely up to you. Yeah. But I like to take control of my own title before somebody labels me, and then I feel like I have to stick with that because that's why people rock with me.
Do you feel like you just don't even want to give people titles anymore? Because I've recently gotten into this where if I introduce myself to people and then they're like, oh, what do you do? I'm usually just like taking a deep breath and I'm like, I do a lot of things. And like, I never talk about it. Like, if you go on my LinkedIn, if you find me on social media, then cool, figure it out on your own. But I don't tell people what I do anymore. One, because it's just a lot to name. Yeah. And two, I just, now that I've like moved into the production space and my boss and my mentor, she's absolutely amazing. There are so many people that want to get close to her. And because I'm like her right hand, they now want to get close to me.
Yeah.
And that is I'm so anti when it comes to stuff like that. And I have to protect my peace. And like, I'm also on like this personal journey where I just feel like I need to stay focused on what God has for me. And so there's a lot of people that just can't, you can't permeate this wall right now. And it's not me being a bitch. I just have to protect the vision that God has for me right now. But I'm afraid to tell people like who I am and what I do. And sometimes it's difficult for me to identify if that's part of my imposter syndrome or if it's really me protecting myself.
For me, it's protecting myself. Like my best friend and I, who's also in the industry, we have this conversation all the time. And it got to a point where, you know, she and I were just like, whenever we introduce ourselves, we're not going to say where we work. Like if someone were to be like, hey, where does your friend work? I would be like, she's a writer.
Yeah.
Whether you think she writes books or you think she writes articles, that's up to you. When she would introduce me, she would be like, yo, she does everything. Like she hosts, she's a journalist, like whatever you think. And I feel like it's me protecting my peace because I don't want people to permeate my space just because they think that I can do something for them. And if we're being honest, like that's the industry that we're in. Like it's a give and take type of industry. Like, what do you want from me? Like, who can I introduce you to? So on and so forth. And the people who want that from me, I would much rather you just be straight up like, I want this from you. Like, okay. But I would much rather build that relationship naturally. And then you can just tell me like, hey, you know, I looked you up and I saw that you do this. Would you be interested? Okay. Like now I know what that relationship's going to be as opposed to like, hey, like, what do you do? Like, I don't want that fraudulent mess.
Yeah.
What do you want? Like that's it. Like, what do you want? So I feel like for me, it's a way of protecting my peace and reminding myself that I'm more than my job title.
So if you took a hiatus right now, what would you do? Because I feel like if I took a hiatus, I would be running. I know me, like this is me trying to run from y'all and like be in my bubble. And if I'm running, God knows when I'm going to come back. So I can't put that in my mind. But if you took a hiatus, like would you go work somewhere else or would it just be like, I need a peaceful journey right now?
Would money not be an object?
Oh, let's answer both ways.
Okay. If I have the funds that I have right now and I were to take a hiatus, I would honestly probably try to become a yoga instructor.
Okay.
Because I've been recently getting into yoga and it kind of goes into like my self-love journey because like for the past couple of years since the pandemic, like I've been struggling like with body image and my weight. And now I'm at a place in my life where it's just like, I'm not focused on losing weight. I just want to feel good. And I'm not trying to look at a scale. I just want my body to feel the way I like for it to feel. Yeah. And now that I'm back in yoga, I feel like I'm in a good place with my body. And I would want to dedicate a good amount of time in my life to that and allow people to feel the same way. And if I also took a break, I would also probably try to become a TED Talk speaker. I really do like speaking, and I like when people feel impacted by my words because I always like to talk to people like I'm a homie, like I'm a friend, and not like I'm somebody that's talking at you. Yeah. So I'd probably focus on that. But if money were no object, I'd travel. I would travel the entire world by myself. Like I wouldn't go with anybody because I feel like every time I travel, it's either business or family related.
Yep.
And I love my family and I love what I do. But I love myself more than both of those things. And I would probably want to do like a whole 90-day trip of going to Bali, going to New Delhi, going to Jamaica, going to Spain, going to wherever the hell I want to go and just experiencing culture and really tapping into my metacognition and double-mindedness of how other people in the world think so that I can adopt it and become the best version of myself because I feel like as someone who's only 27 and is from Brooklyn, New York, like I've been afforded a lot of opportunity, but I feel like there's so much more for me to see. And I don't want to, at least for me, I don't want to waste my life just being stuck in one mindset or a few mindsets because I didn't have the gall to go outside the world and explore.
Yeah. It's always interesting, like, I just came back from a trip with my friends. We went to France, we did Paris, we did London, we did Monaco, which I loved.
Monaco was so beautiful.
Girl, oh my God. If money was no option, I would be one of the few residents in Monaco.
I hear it's so pretty.
It is beautiful. Like, I can't imagine it raining there. And like, everyone is so nice. And like, everyone just drives like a Bentley or whatever, just casually. Beautiful. I'm like, this is lovely. But one thing that I noticed overseas, people don't care about work.
Not at all.
Like I'm talking about on a Thursday, midday, you can just see women outside, like beautifully dressed up with their kids, and everyone is like chill. It's not rushing. Like they're not bombarded. Like, I gotta get here. I gotta run this errand so I can make home.
They take their time.
Like, and we're like going to places, and it's like, this is supposed to be open right now. We wanted to eat, and they're like, oh yeah, we're closed. I'm like, why are people just not showing up to work? And it's because that's not their focus. If today is just not the day for them to show up to work, they just don't.
And that's so beautiful. I remember when I was studying abroad, in England during my junior year at Spelman. And I was so thrown at the fact that I only had classes Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. And they would be like, at least for me, they would be very short blocks. Like, I would have class like from 9 to 10:30, maybe 3 to 7, maybe 2 to 5. But the rest of the time, partying, drinking, smoking, and shopping. And I would be like, how do you do that? Like, how do you balance? And I had to tell my friends that were overseas with me, like, I'm not accustomed to this. Like, why aren't y'all writing your paper? Why aren't you doing anything school related? And they had to remind me, life is not that serious.
Oh my God.
Like, DeShonda, yes, you can get good grades and do all that you got to do, but you got to live. Like, and that it's amazing to me. And I even have a friend right now who is from overseas, and she says that her living in New York, it throws her off that we're always on the go. But when she goes back home overseas, she's like, oh my God, what a relief. Because we as Americans, we're so dug into this whole 40 hours a week plus overtime and working to live and living to work. And overseas people are just like, chilling. I'll get to it when I get to it. I'm still going to make a living.
Yes. Like, and then they're living better than us. I'm like, why the hell are we working so hard? Like, what is the real goal here? Outside of, like, obviously I have to survive, I have to pay my bills, but what are we working for? Like, I feel like the best thing I ever did was dating someone who lived overseas.
Ooh.
His perspective on life, like, and just his perspective on culture and travel, like, he opened up my mind to so many new opportunities. But he would always tell me, like, Jasmine, you have got to live your life. Like, every time he would call me and he'd be like, how's your day? I would immediately jump into something work related. Like, oh, I signed this new client. I'm thinking he's going to be proud of me. He's like, okay, but how was your day? And I'm like, how the hell do I answer that question?
Right, like non-work related.
Right. And it's crazy because now I've become that person where, like, I'll talk to some of my friends. I'm like, how are you? And they'll talk about work. And I'm like, okay, but no, like, tell me something else. Like, tell me anything outside of work, outside of the kids, outside of how your mom and dad is doing. Like, just like tell me something.
How are you?
And people don't know how to answer that question. That's such an American thing.
It is. And it sucks because it's like, and it goes back to the hiatus thing. Like, I don't want to associate my identity with my job. And I was just telling another friend of mine who actually did my makeup just now, shout out to you, Ty, that I don't want to associate myself with a brand or a job because, especially in the corporate world, God forbid if something were to happen to me today or tomorrow, they could replace me. Like,
listen, it ain't nothing.
Like, it's nothing. And not to say that DeShonda isn't valuable, because DeShonda brings a lot to the table, but they're also a business. So they got to
keep it moving.
They got to keep it moving. And in the same token, I am really big on setting workplace and personal boundaries. Yeah. And this is probably a very controversial mindset. So please don't come for me. And if you do, please don't unless I send for you. But I don't believe in the whole 2-week notice thing. I don't, because I feel like, why am I giving you 2 weeks to let you know that I'm leaving when if you were going to fire me or lay me off, you would let me know that same day? I need to set boundaries. So the same respect that you would give me, I'm going to give you back. And I feel like jobs and corporations don't treat us with the same respect and loyalty that they expect for us to give them. If you want me to give you 2 weeks, I need you to at least give me a month to get my life together, because a lot of people have children. A lot of people have elderly parents or grandparents that they have to take care of. A lot of people are on disability. A lot of people are preparing to have a family. A lot of people are probably on the verge of an eviction notice or homelessness. So the same respect and loyalty that you want me to give your brand, I need to feel that. And if not, y'all gonna get the same immediate notice that you would give me.
I hope that reaches every HR office globally. Like, well, globally, y'all don't need it, but nationwide, I hope y'all heard that loud and clear, because that's so real. And it's crazy. I feel like I learned that lesson when I was first hospitalized. I was in the hospital for like 5 days right before Christmas. And I had a full roster, at least 8 or 9 clients on my roster at this point. And between the 5 days that I was in that hospital, I kid you not, I checked into the hospital having 8 clients. By the time I got out of the hospital, I had 2. 5 days, that's all it took. Everyone was aware of what was going on. But I had 2 clients by the time that I got out of the hospital. And I learned a very, very valuable lesson that I'll never forget, which is that unfortunately you are replaceable. No matter how much value I had brought to their teams. Like I had some clients that I had been loyal to for years.
Right.
And it kind of hurt my feelings. But at the same time, I understand, business is business. But that's when I told myself, like, Jasmine, if you have a day where you're off and you're not feeling good, send them people an email and tell them you're canceling meetings today. Like, we're not going to kill ourselves for anybody because these people will replace you, God forbid, if something happened to you today. And so I just won't do that to myself anymore.
And you shouldn't. It's the same thing for me as a journalist. Like I'm really doing my best to realize I cannot do it all because I'm so big on trying to do it all. But I realize that there are people around me who can help me. Like I remember when my mom was sick and she was like on the verge of transitioning, I had like this really big opportunity to interview JT and Whitney Harper, who was working on her creative direction for the Kiss Colors and Care collaboration that she's doing. And I was scrambling so backwards. I was like, I need to do a phone interview. I need to do this, that, and the third. And my best friend, Shaw, she was the one that helped me get the assignment done. She was like, DeShonda, what do you need? How can I show up for you? And what she did for me was while I was in North Carolina with my mom, while she was, transitioning, and while I was with my brother, my sister, and my family, she actually went to go do the interview for me, and she recorded it on camera, and she sent me over the audio file so that I could write the piece. So I'm realizing that I don't have to do everything, and if I'm not okay, it's okay for me to take some of the load that's on me and be like, yo, I can't do this. Please help me out. And I do the same thing with my mentees too. Like if I know that I have an awesome opportunity that I really want to do, but I know that I don't have the bandwidth to do it 100%, I will give it to somebody who looks like me when I was coming up and begged for those opportunities. So if I can give it to one of my writers, or if I can give it to one of my mentees, like, yo, I can't do this. I need you to do it. Go ahead. I did that with one of my mentees named Mia. Shout out to you, Mia, if you watch this. And for Women's History Month, I had the opportunity to interview Gia Peppers, and anybody who knows me knows how much I idolize Gia Peppers. Like she's amazing. And I wanted to interview her so bad, but I just did not have the emotional and mental bandwidth to do it. So I gave it to my mentee, Mia, to do it. And she did a 10 out of 10 job. She posted it on her Instagram, and Gia even reposted it with like a full 7-paragraph caption thanking Mia for it. And I'm glad that it worked out the way that it did, because not only did Gia's story get told, but a mentee of mine who I know loves her too got that opportunity to add a profile to her portfolio and interview somebody that she idolizes as well. And I'm learning through all these experiences that it's okay to not do everything. And if an opportunity doesn't come back around, then so what? But if it does, that's great. But I'm not gonna try to, like you said, kill myself over the fact that I can't do everything. Like if I can't, I can't. If I can do something, I will.
One of the most amazing things about you that I'm learning is your ability to create space for other people while you're also still on your own journey.
Thank you.
There's so many people, especially in our industry, that are selfish. And while they're in or while they're up, they want to take it all and keep it to themselves and wait until they've made it to the top of their mountain to be like, oh, okay, now I'll help y'all. Yeah. But you're literally like, no, I'm going to lift as I climb. And I don't have to take this just because it's, coming up on my desk. I can give this to somebody else. I remember what that was like for me when I was trying. I think that's really, really dope of you, because 98% of this industry is not like that. And that speaks volumes to your character and the type of woman you are.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I'm like this because I've experienced what you were just talking about. I've experienced feeling like I could trust people in the industry, and they've either slighted me or they've totally passed me up for opportunities that I know that I deserved or that I voiced that I wanted. And I don't ever want anybody who's in my circle to ever feel that way. I remember there was this one time where I had the opportunity to interview Dominique Thorne, from Wakanda Forever. And I really wanted to do it, but something came up and I just couldn't do it. So what I did was I gave that interview to another talented writer of mine named Shelby, and she absolutely killed it. And unbeknownst to me, she wants to do more on camera work. So now she has that junket to add to her portfolio. And I feel good knowing that I'm able to pour into a writer who is coming up in the industry, and I get to pour back into somebody knowing that I didn't feel that way when I was coming up. I, unfortunately, unbeknownst to a lot of people, I just had to figure this out. Like, I didn't have any writing mentors. I had a lot of publicist mentors because a lot of people don't know that I started out as a publicist. But I didn't have any writers or editors or journalists showing me the ropes. I literally had to figure it out as I go. So if I could help even like 1, 2, or 3 writers, like with the tools and the resources that I didn't have, I'm going to give that to them, because who am I to hide tools for success from people that I want to be better than me? I always tell them, I don't want you to be like me. Please don't aspire to be like me, because I fuck up too much. I want you to be better than me. I always tell my mentees, I want you to be able to take my job from me.
Yeah.
I want you to be able to know that whatever room you walk into, you learn this shit from Deshonda, and you can take Deshonda and the next person's job. I want you to walk with confidence.
All right. So I'm introducing a new segment that I wanted to do with Deshonda, where we're just going to ask each other whatever fireball questions that come out of it. Some of them are going to be serious. Some of them might be funny. We don't know, but we have to answer it honestly and truly.
I'm honored and scared to do this.
Same. Okay, you can go first.
Oh, God. Okay. So I'm asking you this.
Or whatever you
we're
pull, ask yourself.
Jesus. Okay. I'm going to go like deep in here.
Hopefully Diego's handwriting is not terrible.
Are you truly single? I mean, no, but yes. I am not single because I've been in a relationship for 5 years. Shout out to Gary. We make 5 years on May 1st. But if you ask the government, since I'm not married, I am single.
That was such a fair answer.
What about you?
Okay.
Listen, on taxes, I'm technically single, but my man.
Amen.
So,
I am truly single. I am.
are you single and ready to mingle single, or are you single and focusing on yourself single?
Ooh. What's fair, this is the first time of my life where I've truly been able to enjoy like singlehood and what that means. Mm-hmm. And that became apparent to me when I started noticing, of course, all of my friends are like married, they're having kids. And I realized that this is the last time of my life where I can just be Jasmine. Like my next stage of my life, when I get married and when I have kids, everything that I do will then start to be filtered under mom or wife. And once I had that realization, I was like, Jasmine, enjoy this shit before people start to associate you with a kid or you with a husband. Because right now, the way we complain, like, oh, I walk in a room and it's like, oh, Jasmine, she's a publicist. They're going to do that, but they're going to be like, yo, this is Rodney's wife. And it's like, hold on.
Right, like I don't want to be
like that man at home. Don't introduce me like that.
and I tell people that all the time, like, and that's one thing that I love so much about my boyfriend is that, like, we want to make sure that we are individuals first before we're a unit. Like, I never introduce him as my boyfriend. I say, this is Gary, this is my partner, because we're equals. Like, I don't ever want him to feel like that's his title. And he does the same thing for me. He says, this is my partner, this is Deshonda. Like, I don't ever want people to feel like if I were to, God forbid, like, you know, like die or something like that, like he's only going to be known as Deshonda's husband. I want him to be Gary.
Deshonda. You know what? But what an honor to be Deshonda's husband.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm nervous. I don't like asking myself questions. Okay, 2 people you're grateful for.
Aw, that's sweet.
One, my best friend, Destiny. And I feel like people have heard this story time and time again, but long story short, I met Destiny when me and her both worked in nightlife together, and I was coming out of an abusive relationship. She comes up to the bar and she asked me to go to church with her. Typically, I would never go to church with anybody. That's a private experience. No.
Yeah.
We go to church together, and every day for the next 2 or 3 years, she would pick me up, like make me breakfast, take me to church, and like she played a huge instrumental role in just like my relationship with God today. And she helped to kind of like heal me out of that abusive relationship and everything that came to follow. And even now, like that's my dog. I don't care what happens with me and Destiny. We can get into the worst argument. She not going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere. You can take a couple days, like, but yeah, she's gonna be here. Even when I was in and out of the hospital, like Destiny would come and pick me up when I was, you know, being released from the hospital at 5 a.m, you know, and take me home and like filled up my fridge. And yeah, she's that friend for sure. So that's one person. Another person I'm grateful for is my mentor, Tamra Simmons. She knows.
Tamra, shout out to Tamra. Love her.
It's those two people, like I've never experienced just like true friendship the way I do with them. And it's because they take so much accountability from me when they don't have to. Like Tamra has made herself so responsible for like my learning, my growth, my healing. Like she's such an amazing person, and we see each other aside from like what we do and what we contribute to our jobs. And that's why I love her so much. And like, I don't even know how to classify her. Like some days she's mom, some days she's sis, some days it's just like, that's my dog, Tamra, you know, but that truly like one of the most amazing people. And that woman has a sense of discernment on her. I trust Tamra with everything that I have in me. So yeah, those are two people that I'm really grateful for.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay. It's on you.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to pick from the top because I feel like we got deep questions because we went deep. I'm going to do very surface level now. Oh, okay. Marry for love or for money? Love, because money comes and goes, but if I don't love you, then what's the purpose?
Amen. Okay. She said, look, I was ready for that question, girl. Stop playing.
I'd rather be broken happy than like really rich and really depressed.
Makes sense. I really hate that I'm getting like all the serious
Ooh, what you got?
Biggest mistake you've ever made.
I love that you're getting these questions.
Why me? You know what? Biggest mistake I've ever made was some of the men I've dated.
Ooh.
They were huge distractions.
Talk about it.
It drained me.
Come on now.
Made me feel like super less than who I actually am. And I know it wasn't in God's will. That was me doing what I wanted to do, dating out of boredom, which has never gotten me anywhere good. And it was a huge mistake that could have really, really messed me up for a lot longer than it did. Yeah.
And to the men who fumbled the bag.
Look at me now.
Look at her now. Oh, I see a scratch off here. Ooh, okay. One word that describes your year of 2023. Realism.
Okay. Why?
I feel like, not to be funny, like I feel like I've been so delusional lately. Like I feel like I've been tricking myself into thinking like I'm like more okay than I am. I feel like I've been tricking myself into thinking like I can handle as much as I can handle. Like I think that this is the year where I'm just like, okay, Deshonda, be fucking for real. Like this is my real of being like, all right, you got to be really honest with yourself. So realism.
Okay. All right. I like that.
Another deep question, I hope.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I see myself married. I'm really excited to be a mom. Like, and again, I'm not rushing it because I can absolutely appreciate my single season while I have it. But I love kids so much, and everybody tells me I'm so good with their kids. Like, I don't know why kids love me so much.
Now, do you love kids? Do you love the idea of kids? Like, you love kids, or are you really ready to have kids?
I genuinely love kids.
And I love that for you.
Like, I can take my friends' kids for days. They don't bother me. Like, things that, like, might get on your nerves when your kid does it. I'm like, that's so funny. Like, and people are like, oh, take them for a while. You're going to want to give them back. Like, you say that now because they're not your kid. But I don't know what it is. I genuinely love kids.
No. I love other people's kids so much because I can, like, here's the receipt, take it back.
Yeah.
But I can't have a kid. Like, I'm so selfish right now. Like, I want kids when I'm probably, like, I want to pull a Beyonce and, like, not have kids until, like, my 30s, like, my late 30s. I do not want kids right now. Girl. Like, I love children so much, but I want to give my kid all of the attention that they deserve. And I feel like if I were to have a kid right now, I don't want to keep dropping them off to friends and nannies. Like I want to be involved.
Absolutely. I agree. Who would you call in a fight to help you?
Like a fight? A fight. Like we jump in fight?
Fight. You know what? My Spelman sister, Jasmine Milan. And if you know, you know. and I'm going to leave it at that.
I would probably call my dad. Only because, like, my dad's a retired federal agent, and he would put, like, a really screeching halt to everything.
Oh, and there it is. On that note, this has been a lovely segment of Women of Tomorrow. Deshonda, could you tell everybody where they can follow you, where we can reach you, and just leave us with something good? I feel like it's something in your spirit.
Oh, thank you. People can follow me at signed Shonda, SIGNED, Shonda, like Shonda Rhimes, on Instagram and on TikTok. I am not on Twitter anymore because that's a very toxic place, so I rid myself of that. And as far as like a gem, in the beginning of our conversation, I said I am a human being, not a human doing.
Yes.
So always remember that you are a person and not a product. Put yourself first, and self-love is not selfish.